The Angels had 7 rookies play against the Mariners and a very formidable opponent in Luis Castillo. So how did they do? We're going to talk about it on today's show. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
For making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day, you can find us anywhere that you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM, just by searching Locked On Angels. You know, the best way that you can help out the show is by giving us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube and you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you're here every single day, like a Locked On Everydayer. We'd love to have your likes on each video. It really helps us out and helps out the channel a lot. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. What's going on, everybody? You've got John Frisch, one half of the Super Halo Bros, here with you. And thank you for being here at Locked On Angels, where it's your team every single day. Normally, it's me and my brother Mike, but Mike is on the IL at the moment. He's got dealing with migraines, man. Migraines are no joke. We know how that's affected Jared Walsh this past season. And so Mike is taking a day off, a much-needed day off, and he'll be back with us tomorrow for Fan Mail Friday. You know, it's our second season here at Locked On Angels here with you, and despite the way the team has played, it's been a pleasure talking Angels baseball with all of you over the last 2 seasons. In fact, I love getting into the comments on YouTube. That's the best place that you can get to us right away, is on the YouTube comments. So even if you're on the audio side, come on over, find today's episode, and get in the YouTube comments, because we're always having great conversation there. You can also find us at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram, and at Locked On Angels on Twitter. Hey, on today's show, we're going to recap what happened against the Mariners yesterday. We're going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani not being in the lineup for the 10th day in a row. There's been a lot of back and forth there. Everyone's kind of wondering what's going on with that. And of course, we're going to provide you a Taylor Ward update, courtesy of Sam Blum from The Athletic, a friend of the show, a friend of the pod. We're happy that he reported in with Taylor Ward. So let's get to yesterday's game. The Angels lost against the Mariners 3-2. Really upsetting, because the season series was on the line, and the Mariners have won the season series. We did win the season series last year, by the way, but the series was also on the line, this 3-game set, and it was the rubber match. And the problem with this one is that it was such a close game. It was a 3-2 loss. The game ended on a caught stealing by Brett Phillips, who had homered earlier in the game, by the way. And it was a bullpen game for the Angels in this one, including the return of Jose Suarez from the IL. You know, he started out as a starter this season and was not great, friends. And he's been on the IL with shoulder issues. Finally got back to the team as part of the bullpen. He went 1 2/3 innings pitched. Now, if you look at his line score, he's got 2 earned runs. However, one of those was a hit by pitch. The other was an intentional walk. He actually worked a scoreless 4th inning and had 2 outs in the 5th with a runner on first. Phil Nevin, in his philosophy, decided to intentionally walk Julio Rodriguez. Now, you might say, of course you're going to intentionally walk Julio. He's one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. However, because that runner was on first, it moved Ty France to second base, put the tying run in scoring position. So in this situation, they skip Julio Rodriguez. They bring up Cal Raleigh against the righty in Jimmy Herget. And if you don't know, Cal Raleigh is a beast from the left side. He actually has a lot more power from the left side. And despite Jimmy Herget throwing a curveball below the zone, Cal Raleigh was able to get a base hit and drive in Ty France. Now, in the past, Cal Raleigh has been 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts against Jimmy Herget. In the past is the key phrasing there, because this year's Jimmy Herget is nowhere close to who Jimmy Herget was in 2022. So if you're going off history, man, I just don't think you play that bet, and you don't give Cal Raleigh the ability to hit from his best side. Again, we call it philosophy. We used to call it socialism when Mike Scioscia was here. And now we've got Phil Nevin's philosophy that really hurt us in this one. I understand the intentional walk to Julio Rodriguez. It makes sense. But then to put Cal Raleigh on his best side, his power side, and have Jimmy Herget give that up, that's just very unfortunate. It really ended up costing the Halos the game. And the problem in this one was that after Cal Raleigh got that hit, Brett Phillips threw a rocket to home plate, and Logan O'Hoppe took it up the line. He wasn't able to spin around and get the tag on Ty France. The interesting thing about this game was that there were 5 rookies in the starting lineup and 2 more on the mound in this game, and there was some good and some not so good in this one. Nolan Shawniewell had a bad throw on a routine force out at second. He felt like the runner was in his lane, but he was trying to get it over him, ended up tossing it over Brandon Drury's head out into the outfield. That led to the Mariners' first run of the game. However, some good news from Shawniewell. He has drawn another walk in this one and extended his on-base streak to 20 games, the first 20 games of his major league career. He's been on base every single time. Interesting decision to put Kyron Paris out in center field in this one. Unfortunately, he struck out looking 3 times, including 1 time with runners at first and second and no outs in the 7th inning. He failed to get down a bunt in that at bat. Jordan Adams got picked off, which stopped the rally. Mike and I have had this discussion before. There is a world of difference between guys like Zach Neto and Nolan Shawniewell, who were drafted by Perry Manassian, versus guys who were drafted by Billy Epler. You can throw Joe Adell into that one as well. Good guys, good players, good baseball players, but they don't have the baseball mentality sometimes. You see Zach Neto making plays out there at shortstop continuously. He finally got his first hit since coming back from the IL in this one. Then you see right-handers, Ben Joyce and Jose Soriano, each pitch perfect innings in this one. Joyce hit 100 miles an hour 6 times in 14 pitches. He's not allowed to run in either of the 2 outings that he's had after missing 3 months on the injured list. You know, Phil Nevin spoke afterward about some of the plays, the miscues that were out there because of the Angels' young rookies. He said that they were all teachable moments. This is a quote from Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register. You don't have those plays. It's hard to practice that play. You can simulate as much as you want, but you're going to get a game situation like that when things are happening. It's difficult to make those when you haven't had those experiences yet. He's referring to Logan O'Hoppe taking that throw from Brett Phillips up the line. So in this one, the Angels actually had a chance to win against Luis Castillo, who they've gotten to a few times this season. And Castillo has anchored that Mariners rotation since he's come over in the trade. And especially with the fact that that young rotation is very young. And so Luis Castillo being the veteran there, he's really anchored that rotation, and the Angels got to him in this one. Unfortunately, they weren't able to seal the deal. I had a thought during this game, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts as Locked On Everydayers. So again, get into those YouTube comments. I know that we sent Brett Phillips down to AAA, and he told Erica Weston that he needed the time in AAA to work on his revamped swing that he had worked on over the offseason. And it got me thinking about, man, what if he was the one who was up with this team instead of Hunter Renfroe? Because I know Hunter Renfroe is gone. We put him on waivers. He got claimed by Cincinnati. He's hitting lots of garbage time hits for the Reds, and he had a home run the other day when they were down 6-0. Classic Hunter Renfroe that we're all used to this season. So I had a thought. It was like, man, what would have happened with this team if we had had Brett Phillips as an outfielder who played consistently and had the chance to work on his swing and use his speed and his incredible defense? The guy has a cannon for an arm, just like Hunter Renfroe does and did for us. I got to thinking about that, and so I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Would this season have looked any different if Brett Phillips would have been the outfielder out there instead of Hunter Renfroe? Guy brings great energy. He brings great enthusiasm, and maybe that's something that this clubhouse needed because you're not getting it from who's there or who's been there all throughout this season. So just a thought for you. Again, get into the comments on YouTube. Even if you're on the audio side, come on over to YouTube. Let me know what you think, or hit us up on Twitter at Super Halo Bros or at Locked On Angels. Brett Phillips over Hunter Renfroe this season. I know hindsight is 2020, but I think it makes for an interesting discussion. Hey, the Angels are back home on Friday. They're playing the Tigers at 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM or the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, we're going to share with you an update about Taylor Ward after taking that fastball, that sinker to the face from Alek Manoah. Obviously, it ended his season, but we've got an update for you courtesy of Sam Blum, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Hey, today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, which we do not have, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit, which the Angels did not do. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts or accessories for your vehicle, you got to head over to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. All you have to do is add your ride to My Garage. Look for the green check mark, and that way you'll know that the part is going to fit. And if it doesn't, eBay Motors will give you your money back. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, that's a lot of parts, you'll be able to get back in the game in no time. So get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Once again, I'm John Frisch. I'm one half of Locked On Angels and the Super Halo Bros. Together, my brother Mike and I make the Super Halo Bros. Unfortunately, not feeling very super right now because Mike is on the IL with a migraine, and so he asked if I could fly solo for this one. So I appreciate you being here, Mike. We want you to get better. He'll be better. He'll be back for Fan Mail Friday, which happens tomorrow. So, Locked On Everydayers, if you want to get your questions in, the best way you can do that is by hitting us up on social media at Locked On Angels, at Super Halo Bros on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're interested, you could send us a 30-second voicemail on our voicemail line, 714-409-6396. That number is in the episode description below, so that way you won't lose our number. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you want. So get in our mentions, get in our voicemail, get your questions in for Fan Mail Friday, and we'll do our best to get to all of them on tomorrow's show, where in which Mike will be back. Hey, the Angels are back at it on Friday, 6:38 Pacific time against the Tigers, back at the Big A. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you got to do is search. Friends, it's been a frustrating week in terms of whether or not Shohei Ohtani is going to be in the lineup. In fact, over the weekend, it seemed like there was an opportunity for him to come back, but the Angels wanted to take it day by day. And if you're unaware, there was a batting practice session, which Ohtani rarely does, actually. He doesn't go out on the field to do batting practice. He'll go to the cages and warm up there. He's got his own routine, and obviously that routine has been working for him throughout his career. Unfortunately, he suffered a bit of an oblique strain, and while it's been day to day, the Angels have not really had clear communication on whether or not the timeline is favorable to Shohei Ohtani. They have not had clear communication on whether or not he's even going to come back this season. They keep saying, oh yeah, we're taking it day by day. It depends on how he feels. It depends on, whether he gives us the go ahead. And I understand that. That's how it's always been with Shohei Ohtani. In fact, Phil Nevin said this. He said it was his decision to not start Ohtani. He also added that Ohtani is close to returning. Nevin said, I know fans come to see him, especially when we're at home. I get the frustration. Absolutely. When this started, nobody thought it was a big issue. He was even telling me, I think I can go in a day or two. And that's what I told you guys, the media. Well, it stretched out a little longer than we thought, but I still think it's really close, and we'll wait for him to say when he can play. All this back and forth has led to a lot of opinions and comments and things like that, especially ones that say, are the Angels just trying to fool fans into thinking Ohtani is going to be in the lineup so that they come to the ballpark and watch? Well, that might have been the case over the weekend as Cleveland was in town, but the Angels have been up in Seattle, so it doesn't serve them to, dangle the Ohtani carrot in front of fans and say, come to the ballpark. I mean, I'm sure Mariner fans want to see him. I'm sure there's Angels fans in Seattle that want to see him. But at the same time, there was a moment this week where he was in the lineup and was a late scratch just because he's not feeling good. Look, if you're going to go with anybody's opinion here, it's going to be Ohtani. It's going to be the fact that he's going to tell you when he's ready. So I think the bigger question and discussion here is there really any reason for Shohei Ohtani to come back and play with the Angels for the remainder of the season? And do you think that it's worth exploring whether or not he should be getting the procedure he needs for his UCL since the playing time has been cut back, since this oblique strain is really bothering him? There's two parts to that. Number one, is there any reason for Ohtani to play? I think the first answer there is his MVP case for the American League MVP. I would be worried if it was a similar situation to what it was last year with Aaron Judge. It was Ohtani and Judge. Who's going to be the AL MVP? The previous year, it was Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. There was a very close race in terms of who's going to be the American League MVP. Guys, this year, Shohei Ohtani is far and away the American League MVP. Nobody has even come close to what he's doing, especially in the hitting department. I think Luis Robert of the White Sox is the next closest home run hitter in the American League. I know Matt Olson in the National League has passed up Ohtani since Ohtani hasn't been able to get out there and play and hit home runs. At the same time, really, I think the next person is, the last time I checked, Kyle Tucker from the Astros, and he's not catching Ohtani. You know why? Because Ohtani's also a starting pitcher, and he was a very good starting pitcher at that. Not his best pitching season, of course, but you combine that with the production at the plate, this guy has been unbelievable. So I don't think that there's a concern about Ohtani's AL MVP case. I don't think there should be a concern. So if Ohtani decides to pull the plug on 2023, I know he won't because he's not that kind of guy. But I also think that he needs to have a serious discussion with his agent, with the Angels, and discuss, is it worth coming back? Is it worth risking more injury? Is it worth risking any more of his contract next season? And on that note, how does this affect Ohtani possibly re-signing with the Angels? Well, I think the Angels need to do right by him and know that they're concerned and share that concern. If the Angels have Ohtani's best interest in mind and care for him, I think that speaks to the relationship that he has with the Angels. I think that speaks to the way that they do care about Ohtani. I know there was a lot of talk out there when he first tore his UCL that the Angels didn't take care of him enough or didn't listen to him. And we've since come to learn that no, it was a freak injury and everybody was on the same page. In fact, they even suggested getting an MRI, and nobody felt like it was necessary because it was just a cramp. It just felt like it wasn't necessary to go and get an MRI. So all of that to say, whether or not this affects Ohtani's potential for re-signing with the Angels in the offseason, I mean, he's going to make the best decision for himself, obviously. That's number one for Ohtani. It's not about the money for him. It's about the place he wants to play and what team he wants to be with and who he wants to help try and win. I think the Angels are currying favor with the fact that they're doing their best to take care of Ohtani. I understand it's frustrating as fans. I understand it feels like that Ohtani carrot is being dangled in front of us. Let's see what happens when they get back to the Big A on Friday. I'm sure we'll have an update. I'm sure that he'll be in the lineup, And I'm sure that'll cause more tickets to be sold if he is back in the lineup on Friday. Hey, friends, today's show is brought to you by Jace Medical. Modern medical care and treatment are, of course, important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, which we've all been through, natural disasters, and even foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment that you need right away. So that's where Jace Medical comes in. Jace Medical is your solution. Just fill out their online form, and one of their board certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then they're going to send your prescription to one of their partner pharmacies where your Jace Medical order is going to be filled and mailed directly to your home. And not only this, you can send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions at any time. They're always available for you. Everyone should feel empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical is offering the Jace case. You can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. Again, use that code LOCKEDON at checkout when you go to jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Friends, let me take you back to before the trade deadline. While the Angels were really rolling at the end of July, the Angels were facing the Blue Jays. Alek Manoah was on the mound. Alek Manoah was a potential Cy Young candidate in 2022. This year, out of the block, man, he really struggled. In fact, he went down to the minors for a while. And one of his first starts back was against our Halos. And during that game, there was a sinking fastball that went out of his hands too early, and it caught Taylor Ward in the face, unfortunately. And Taylor Ward got hit in the face, and Alek Manoah apologized to Taylor Ward. He felt awful about it. And so Taylor Ward's season came to an end at that point. Now, to give you a little bit of a timeline, Taylor Ward underwent surgery on August 5th. Listen to this. Doctors inserted 3 different plates. He said the third was necessary because the doctor found that his skull was loose. Coming out of the operation, Ward could not eat solid foods, was forced to consume only liquids or broth. He couldn't even breathe out of his nose because of splints in each nostril. Ward said that he's become a mouth breather and a heavy snorer, and he said it's probably become a nuisance to his wife, whose name is also Taylor, FYI. Kind of funny. He said it's been a little bit more than a month since the surgery. Ward still hasn't been able to drink through a straw. He's also waiting for medical clearance to complete basic tasks like blow his nose. Oh, man, it just sounds absolutely brutal for Taylor Ward. As far as his return to baseball and baseball activities, Ward said he's come to terms with the injury. He knows that there will be questions about his ability to get back into the box. One of the greatest gifts as a hitter is his comfort at the plate and the ability to recognize pitches, things that many believe could be impacted by emotional scars left by taking a pitch to the face. But Taylor said he intends to come back as the same hitter he was before the injury. Again, this comes from Sam Blum's article in The Athletic. I'll try to basically get as comfortable as I can and forget what happened. He's going to be adding that new C flap to his batting helmet, which is going to help eliminate any lingering fears. And he said he's going to be working on putting that in the back of his mind and let other things take control. Now, Taylor Ward has had a really interesting journey when it comes to his career with the Halos. And when he's healthy, he's shown the ability to hit for power, knock in RBIs, and has come up clutch a lot of the time. But last year, if you remember, he was playing right field, and he ran into the wall trying to make a catch. And then for the rest of the season, up until about late August, September, kind of where we are now, he was really struggling at the plate. It seemed like his timing was off. He was not the potential all-star that we all saw at the beginning of the season in Taylor Ward. And it's unfortunate because that wall issue really took him down a peg. And now I'm concerned about this injury when it comes to taking that fastball to the face. So I'm hopeful for Taylor Ward. I hope that he can put that behind him. When it comes to a timetable for Taylor Ward, well, it's going to be up to him and his doctors, of course, in terms of baseball activities. Really, he's just got to continue to heal from the surgery and the fact that they had to insert those plates and help put his face back together. But when it comes to Taylor Ward and baseball activities, the first thing that needs to take place is his health. That's first and foremost. But when it comes to his face injuries and getting back to baseball, I'm sure he'll have time to do that over the offseason. But next year with Taylor Ward, seems like there's going to be an opening in the outfield, considering Hunter Renfroe's not there anymore. Randall Grichuk will be gone. Potentially, we'll see Joe Adell up with the club, including Mickey Moniak. That might be a good tandem to have out there. And if they want to make Taylor Ward the everyday starter again, then you probably have enough room for those four guys, including Mike Trout, in the outfield. Is there a world where Taylor Ward moves to like a corner position? Maybe if they don't want Shohei in there against lefties, Taylor Ward could take over at first base. Now, he did play a little bit of first base this season and got very lucky on some plays over there. And it was kind of fun to watch him over there, but it was also really scary because the Angels were trying to win those games with Taylor Ward over there. He has played some corner infield in the past. I don't know if that's where he sticks. Remember, he was drafted as a catcher. Maybe, perhaps, I understand that the wall issue in the outfield is much different than the fastball to the face issue. But if they need a place for Taylor Ward, obviously, I'm sure he'll still be in the outfield. But perhaps there's a world where he can play the infield. Obviously, we need a third baseman because Anthony Rendon is not going to be somebody you can rely on at third base. And plus, his defense was not great this season. When it comes to Taylor Ward, I'm not concerned about him finding a place on this team. I think that there's a lot of questions of where he could play and maybe make an adjustment. If he does go to a corner infield position, I'm not sure he wants baseballs flying off the bat at him the same way the fastball was thrown at his face. And I'm really hoping that he can get over that fear and put that behind him and be able to get his swing back, be able to get his approach back. The guy, when he's good and when he's on and when he's healthy, has incredible pitch recognition, something that the Angels need more of on this team. And when you go back to Taylor Ward's hot start to 2022, the biggest thing was taking walks and having the ability to recognize pitches out of the zone and not swing at those. He did struggle with that more this season. It seemed like that pitch recognition kind of went away for Taylor Ward, but hopefully with time and practice and healing, he'll be able to get back to that and get back to 100%. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. I appreciate you being here and talking with me, and I hope that you get into our comments. Remember, the Angels are playing the Tigers tomorrow night at 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Hey, friends, we'd love to get your follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. And again, if you're not subscribed, if you're a Locked On Everyday or not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button for us. Again, it really helps us out. Hit that thumbs up underneath the video because that helps us out a lot as well, more than you might even realize. Hey, tomorrow is Fan Mail Friday. Mike will be back with me to answer your questions. Again, we're taking those on Twitter and Instagram and even our voicemail line. Again, that number's in the episode description below. But shoot us a DM or a comment, or look out for our question tweet, and you can comment underneath that. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, my name is John, and my brother Mike will be back here tomorrow with us. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Thanks for letting us be your hosts of Locked On Angels, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.